Hello everyone, in this video I'll be showing you the ultimate guide on how to play the Recluse in Elden Ring Nightreign. This is the highest damage character in the game due to their spell casting. I'll be showing you the different magical cocktails that you can cast, which one of these is worth it, and what you should be doing in general when it comes to combat. Now I just want to clarify, the magical cocktails are good, but it's actually better to spam her spells, as the damage you're going to get out of spamming spells is going to be much higher than you can get from reclaiming your energy spent on the other spells. Although it is smart to obviously reclaim your FP at certain points in the game, but I do think that it's best to spam your spells as much as possible for maximizing your damage. Now, something I want to point out that I don't see a lot of people talking about is you can see the color on each of these. This one is yellow because I marked it with a holy spell. That is a magic spell. And then this one is a fire spell on it. So that's the element that you're going to get back when you reclaim your magic. You can see that we got the fire from that one. We got the lightning from this one, or the holy from that one, and then the magic from this one. So then we can go ahead with casting our spell here based off those. This one is actually pretty powerful because it's going to power up your damage and also heal your allies within it. That is the Mixed Breath, which requires a holy, magic, and fire elixir to cast. Now, the absolute best one is actually to cast a holy spell and pair it with a magic spell. And then for the third one, you can be either a magic spell or a holy spell. And this is going to give you infinite FP for 8 seconds for the entire team. The reason this one is good is then you can swap this off to something that's got a powerful spell like Renala's Moons, or if you got the Comet Azure spell, and then you can deal a ton of damage with those. So yeah, the infinite mana is the 1 or 2 holy and 1 or 2 magic. Now, a good one for survivability is to cast 3 lightning spells in a row. So if you got a lightning spear, this is a good one to use. It's basically giving you the Bloodhound step ability for a whole 20 seconds. So you can see there the little foot icon on the ground, and then we got this. We can now do Bloodhound step. So this one's obviously really good for your own survivability, and yeah, requires 3 lightning charges to be able to cast this one. One that's similar is a Blinkbolt here. So we need 1 fire, 1 or 2 fire, and 1 or 2 lightning to be able to cast this one. So reclaim your magic. And then once you have this, you got the Blinkbolt ability, which is going to make you dash forward really quickly like that. It does decent damage there. You can see we did 700 to that target. Again, it's not going to outpace doing literally just like Glintstone Pebble spam is going to out damage most of your abilities, but they're good to have. And there's also an auto-parry, so if you have 1 or 2 lightning and 1 or 2 holy, it'll give you an automatic parry, which is actually a nice ability if you do plan on using a shield. If we do a holy, a lightning, and a magic, we actually get a decently powerful ability with the Ice Block Storm. So this again requires a holy, a lightning, and a magic to be able to cast this. It does have a long windup, that's just something to keep in mind, but it's one of the coolest looking abilities, and it's going to stack up Frostbite pretty well, and you get this ice around. You can see there the damage from this isn't as high as you'd actually expect. You can see we got 570 damage there, and if we were to cast Glintstone Pebble with an unupgraded staff, we can get that after a few seconds, and we don't have to worry because we can always dash with that. So that's why I'm saying some of these cocktails aren't as powerful as they may seem. And with 1 or 2 holy and 1 or 2 fire, you can make a warming stone pretty much to heal the area for over time. So it lasts for 16 seconds and it gives a little bit of a health buff to your teammates. So this one can be good in a pinch if you need to be able to apply a little bit of extra healing. The absolute best, however, is the Gravity Blast, which requires 1 magic, 1 lightning, and 1 fire. Due to the chaotic nature of playing, it is hard to get these. Obviously, if your teammates are using magic in their attacks, it's going to be not the easiest thing to get exactly what you want, but this is the most powerful with the Gravity Blast here. So this is what this looks like. Huge explosion. This 1200 or so damage. So honestly, not too bad, but I wouldn't stress yourself out trying to get that. As for best weapons, I would recommend going through every single tower that you can find. And also in castles, they do have a separate room off to the side where you can find some of these. And whenever you spawn, you can sometimes find finger seals in a abandoned building. So I'd recommend looking there, trying to find the spells that you want. Obviously, some of the more powerful like Azure and Lusat's Glintstone Staff, Carrion Regal Scepter, Prince of Death Staff, and Meteorite Staff are some of the best. And as for the incantations and seals here, the Erdtree Seal, Golden Order, Frenzied Flame, and obviously Dragon Communion are best. The Frenzied Flame being very useful in particular against the Liber boss fight. As for the sorceries that you want to look for, any of the glintstones are going to be useful to have. They go all the way up to the Comet there, which is going to be probably the most powerful one to go for. It does cost a little bit more FP though with this one costing almost 3 times what a glintstone pebble will cost, but obviously the increased damage. Spiral shard is actually pretty useful against large bosses because sometimes can hit multiple times, and also star shower, not a bad choice as well. If you like to get up close and personal, there's some options like the Gavel of Haima here, which does actually a lot of stagger damage, and you can follow it up with another attack. I also like, obviously, Comet Azure, a very powerful spell. If you can get the Infinite Magicka ability, and it does so much damage, it's worth using. Stars of Rune being another very useful and a good spell for reviving your teammates. So if you're able to get the Stars of Rune, sometimes this is good for bringing up a downed ally, or the Founding Rain Star, anything that does damage over time, which we'll get to in a moment. The Carrion spells are nice if you get in close range, and obviously Loretta's Great Bow is decent at long range. The thing with the Renala's Moon is actually increase the amount of damage that they take after getting hit by this, so you can open with this and then go to your other spells. And same thing with the Rani's Dark Moon. The Carrion Slicer and other weapons like this are okay, but you do have to get in close for the usage of them. And then something like Night Shard and Night Comet are nice too, because they hit a little bit, they have a better chance of hitting at an increased FP cost. And also something like Magma Shot, which can do fire damage over time. This is also great if you have a downed ally. Anything that's going to do damage in an area can prolong the amount of time that their revive is going for. Shattering Crystal is going to be one of the most common spells that you find. It's got 21 FP cost, but it's very useful in terms of damage. And then any of the gravity spells are also pretty good. Obviously, Meteorite of Estelle being the most powerful. It's kind of like the Comet Azure of physical damage. But any of these, if you can find Rock Sling, this is a classic spell from Elden Ring, and it's still pretty good in Nightreign. And any of the Rancor Call spells, these two here in particular are great. Also good at reviving your teammates. You can charge it as well, but these are just great for picking up anyone that goes down. As for Incantations, there are some heals that are nice, especially if you have a Revenant on your team. Lightning Spear is great against the Augur boss fight, as well as the Dark Drift Knight, and even something like Lansack's Glaive here is useful, or the Ancient Dragon's Lightning Strike, although this does have a higher cost. Catch Flame is probably the worst incantation you can find, but something like the Flame of the Fell God is honestly one of the most powerful spells, especially if the boss is weak to fire. This can destroy the boss in very little time, especially if you spawn this inside of the boss. I've seen that melt bosses multiple times over. And Whirl of Flame is also pretty good. Any of these flame spells are decent outside of Catch Flame. Flame Grant Me Strength being a great spell in Elden Ring. It's not that great in this game, however. And Black Flame is nice because it does percentage-based damage, and I think just the regular Black Flame spell being the best here. It does count as fire damage for getting your cocktails as well. Pest Threads being another useful spell because it's very high hit chance. And against Libra, any of the Frenzied Flame spells will be really useful here as well, because these can actually take him out of his spellcasting phase and put him back into just attacking with the staff. Of all the dragon spells, I would say that X-Eggs, Decay, and Rotten Breath are the best, just due to how powerful Scarlet Rot is. And as for the relics that we're going to be using, the Grand Tranquil Scene here giving you the ability to create Terra Magica, which increases the damage by 15%. This is actually good early in the game, but when you go against bosses, you're moving around quite a bit, so this isn't going to be as effective. If you can find a small pouch, that's nice too, because the more Starlight shards that you can hold, the better. Even though you're able to regenerate your FP, it's best to be able to have extra if you need them, because spamming your spells is going to be the most powerful damage output. And anything that increases your ultimate art gauge is also good too. This also gives you additional max health whenever you use your ultimate art, which is nice. Max FP increase after releasing a Sorceress Rise, which is also really good. And physical attack, not something we care about, but if you're using a rapier, that can work as well too. And then I also like this one here to give yourself the health back on post-damage attacks. Sometimes if you cast Carrion spells, you can actually regenerate your full health bar before it even registers, because you lose your health and you recover quickly with this. The Recluse's ultimate is the Soul Blood Song here, which is going to last for 16 seconds, increase the amount of physical and magical damage that the target takes by 15%, and it also recovers your health and FP when you attack the target, making it great if you have Comet Azure here, because you'll be able to recover your FP while you're casting it, especially if you got the Terra Magica there to increase the damage by 15%. Now, I find that the best strategy early game is to try and find a staff, obviously, as quick as possible. It's going to give you a good amount of damage, and test out some different spells. You never know which of them is going to be powerful, because if you don't have a lot of knowledge of playing around with a bunch of spells in Elden Ring, you might just not know that some of them are actually quite good. So like the Magma Shot here, which is actually pretty effective at picking up your downed allies, because it deals damage and leaves an area of effect there. The first boss is always going to be tough, so I'd recommend using your very useful dash, which has additional iframes, so you don't get hit as often. It's going to be useful. You have to stay away from the boss, but at a distance, you're still able to deal damage with your spells. So that's where, again, those area of effect damaging spells are really good, especially on large bosses that just lay in it, because you're just continually going to do damage over time. And once you get to the final boss in Night 2, typically these are going to be some more challenging bosses. If they aggro onto you, obviously just focus on survival. It's better to just not get hit than to get hit trying to cast a spell. And with any type of knight, like Crucible Knights here, it's best to obviously keep a bit of distance between the target that you're going for, but you can flank really well with these. So I'm always trying to get the option off to the side away from their shield so that I'm able to hit them when they use their shield. Any of the shifting events, I would recommend finding. Any of them really work, but the legendary is nice because you can upgrade whatever staff that you can find best. So the crater there that I was just at. Another good event is if you can get the Augur Raid, because it'll allow your healing potions to recover your FP, which doesn't sound like a whole lot, but it's actually extremely useful. So I would recommend if you can find the Augur Raid. Obviously it's random, but that one helps a lot on your runs as you get the infinite FP, which just helps so much. Any type of boss that we're going against, you want to get your cocktails off if possible, like one like this where we deal a ton of damage to the boss, super useful. And then if you got Ronnie's Moon or Ranala's Moon, you can use that to increase the damage they're going to be taking. I was able to get an Ice Storm off here because it was aggroed on someone else, and it did a good amount of damage, but not as crazy as obviously casting spells repeatedly. But on some of the more challenging bosses, if they aggro onto you, you can use your ultimate because it gives you a few seconds of actual invulnerability. Against some of the bosses like Gladius here, it's best to, obviously you can use fire, and either their strengths, I would go with a spell that's going to be extra damaging against them. And if you can find a weapon that gives you those glintstone blades there, that's really useful too, because you can just have that weapon in your offhand and just continually cast with the other. Now, bosses that are weak to fire are great because we have so many different fire damage weapons. And I find that the Gnoster Wisdom of the Night Fight is actually one of the easier ones for us because we can use a variety of different fire-based weapons, Black Flame, you name it, and it's just going to be a really easy fight, I find, because if everybody is using fire, we can absorb the fire magic and then be able to cast some powerful fire spells. They're not the strongest, but I mean, they do a decent bit of damage, and the Moth is the one that's weak to the fire. So I find that she is the highest damage character. Focus on spamming your spells, use any type of Starlight shard, and buy them from the merchants, especially during the day. They only cost 1,200, so they're a little bit cheaper, but that is the ultimate guide to the Recluse. If you found this video useful, please hit the subscribe button below.